This man was shot and killed by his dog. Joseph Smith was a 30-year-old hunter known for his love of the outdoors. Early one January morning in 2023, he set out on what was supposed to be an ordinary hunting trip. Joseph and his trusted dog rode together in his pickup truck, and in the back seat, his hunting rifle sat loaded and ready. An oversight that would soon turn this peaceful morning into a nightmare. His dog, playful and restless, moved among the gear, and then, in a split second, tragedy struck. The dog's paw landed on the trigger. A deafening sound echoed through the truck as the rifle fired, sending a fatal shot into Joseph's back. The truck rolled to a stop, and the scene inside was a picture of absolute horror. Emergency responders arrived quickly, but it was too late. Joseph Smith, a young man with so much life ahead of him, was gone. This wasn't just a freak accident, it was a chilling reminder of how a single moment of carelessness with firearms can lead to an unimaginable loss. A loaded rifle, unsecured in the back seat, had turned a man's best friend into a killer. The dog, oblivious to what had happened, remained by his owner's side, loyal as ever. But the scars left by this tragic mistake will haunt everyone who knew Joseph. What should have been another day in the great outdoors became a chilling warning. Firearms demand respect, and one moment of inattention can shatter lives forever. This young girl was killed at a hockey game. In 2002, a NHL game was going on and fans were very engaged. Among them was 13-year-old Brittany Cecil, a bright and cheerful girl who had recently developed a love for hockey. This was a special outing for her, a birthday gift from her dad, who wanted to share his passion for the sport with his daughter. As the game progressed, the puck was struck hard, ricocheting off a player's stick. The crowd watched in awe as it soared into the stands, a common but thrilling occurrence in hockey. But then, in a split second, the excitement turned to horror. The puck flew into the crowd and struck Brittany in the head. The impact was brutal. She collapsed into her seat, clutching her head as those around her screamed for help. Paramedics rushed to her side as her father looked on, helpless and horrified. Brittany was conscious but visibly in pain. She was taken to the hospital where doctors initially believed her injuries were manageable. What no one realized was that the blow had caused a tear in her vertebral artery, a critical blood vessel in her neck. Over the next 48 hours, a blood clot formed, cutting off circulation to her brain. And on March 18th, just 2 days after the incident, Brittany succumbed to her injuries. The once vibrant girl who had come to celebrate her love for hockey was now gone, leaving her family in unimaginable grief. She was just 13 years old. A girl was sitting on a subway late at night when she noticed the woman sitting across from her was staring at her intently. The woman was sitting between two old men. The girl kept looking away, but the woman wouldn't break eye contact with her. The stare was beginning to freak the girl out. At the next stop, a new passenger got on, and it was a tall man wearing a trench coat. He then sat down next to the girl, and the woman paid no attention to the man in the trench coat. And she just kept looking at the girl, who was getting more and more creeped out as time went on. The two men didn't even glance in her direction. She pretended not to notice, but every time she glanced at the strange woman, the stare continued. When the train was pulling into the next stop, the man in the trench coat got up to leave, but suddenly he grabbed the girl's arm tightly, and as the doors opened, he dragged her off the train. The doors shut and the subway pulled off, leaving the girl alone with the man in the trench coat. She started screaming out loud, begging for help, but the man in the trench coat then said, "Calm down, I just saved your life. I didn't mean to scare you, but I had to get you off that train." The woman sitting opposite of you was dead, and the two men beside her were holding up her body. This 10-year-old girl saved 2 lives, but lost her own. Kira Larson was just 10 years old, living in a quiet California neighborhood. She was spirited, protective, and full of love for her family and friends. And that love would soon be tested in the most unimaginable way. On February 22nd, 2016, Kira was watching 2 younger children ages 1 and 2 playing nearby. Everything seemed peaceful, until it wasn't. A parked SUV began speeding towards the unsuspecting toddlers. Time seemed to freeze as the vehicle gained speed and headed straight for the children. In that moment, Kira didn't hesitate. Without a second thought for her own safety, she sprinted towards the children, pushing them out of harm's way. But Kira wasn't fast enough to save herself. The SUV struck her with brutal force, pinning her underneath. The laughter of the kids playing was replaced by panicked screams as neighbors rushed to the scene. Kira was then taken to the hospital, but the injuries were way too severe. The brave little girl who had just saved 2 lives didn't survive. Her community was left shattered, but filled with awe at her heroism. Kira was recognized as a true hero, her sacrifice an act of love and courage few could fathom.